Today we are going to learn how to multiply polynomials. We will start with multiplying a monomial or a single term by a polynomial, which is two terms. This is very similar to distributing, which we've done before, and it also involves laws of exponents, which you've seen. We're going to start with looking at the outside term and distributing it to the two terms inside the binomial. So we're going to select our pen. All right. 3x times 2x is pretty simple because 3 times 2 is 6, which we already know. And from laws of exponents, we know that x times x is x squared. When we multiply the same bases, we add their powers. And these x's both have invisible ones next to them. Next, we must distribute the 3x to the negative 3. Remember that minus is with the 3. We know that 3 times negative 3 is a negative 9, so you can write that down. And since there is an x with the 3, we have to carry over the x with the product. Looking at this answer, there's nothing else we can do, because x squared and x are not like terms. They must have the same exact variable as well as the same exponent. So therefore, there's nothing else we can do with this problem, and we are done. You can probably practice number 2 on your own, but let's skip ahead to multiplying a binomial by a binomial, which is a little bit more tricky, but I'm sure you can do it. All right, looking at number 3 on your example worksheet, you can see you have a binomial with 2 terms times another binomial with 2 terms. There are a couple different ways to do this. One way that is popular is using a chart method. First, you draw a tic-tac-toe frame, and that's just kind of your template or your setup. And we take our first binomial, our 2a and negative 6, and we fill in these 2 spots. So we have our 2a, and our negative goes with the 6 right there. Then our second binomial goes right here, where we have a 7a and a positive 8. You don't really need to write the plus sign by the 8, but you can. And remember, this is a multiplication chart, so maybe you'll put a little dot right there to remind yourself it's multiplication. Just like in elementary school where we multiply the column and the row and then put the product in the square, we're going to do the same thing here. So 7 times 2 is 14, and a times a is a squared. You can draw on your invisible ones if this helps you remember to add the powers. Going down this column and this row, we see negative 6 times 7 is negative 42a. We don't need to draw the invisible one, but if you want to, go for it. Down this column in this row, we have 2 times 8, which is 16, and we must keep our a with 16 because the 2 is attached to a. Down this column, we have negative 6 and 8, and we have a negative 48. Now on your ECA test, they're not going to have your answer situated like this. They're going to have it in a row. So you have to look at everything in your chart and write that down. So we have 14a squared, negative 42a, positive 16a, and negative 48. Now it doesn't matter what order you write these down in. I typically just go from this corner box is 14a squared all the way around, I guess that'd be clockwise. All right. Now, looking at this isn't our final answer because there are some like terms. We have negative 42a and 16a. Same letter, same exponent, they're like terms. So we can keep 14a squared, and we have negative 42 and 16 I believe that is a negative 26a, and we can keep our negative 48 at the end, now that we've combined like terms. Notice you'll always have like terms in your chart on this diagonal. And I hope this chart helps, but I'm going to show you how to do one other method using our next example problem number 4, which also works with number 3. Okay, so number 4, we can look at this one a little bit differently. We can think about distribution again, but instead of distributing just this 5x to the second set of parentheses, we can also think of distributing this negative 8. So you'll be doing double distribution, which is really not that bad. We can do 2 different color arrows. So the first would be the 5x in red, distributing. Once we can have the pen select, we can do that. The 5x can come through and multiply by both of these. So we'll have 5x times 2x. 5 times 2 is 10. X times x is x squared, where we add the invisible ones. 5x times negative 1. Well, 5 times a negative 1 is negative 5, and we got to keep our x. Then we may select a different color pen. Blue would be great. And we go in and we multiply the negative 8 times both of the terms in the parenthesis number 2. So negative 8 times a positive 2 is negative 16. And keep the x. And negative 8 times negative 1 is a positive 8. Notice I did these in 2 different colors. The red was to symbolize the 5x being distributed to the 2x and the negative 1. And the blue was to symbolize the negative 8 being distributed to the 2x and then the negative 1. Looking at this, you'll see that your like terms will always be in the middle. And we'll keep our 10x squared and our positive 8, but we'll add the negative 5x and the negative 16 to get negative 21x plus 8. This is just another way of multiplying 2 binomials without having to use the chart. Some people refer to this as FOIL method, where you multiplied the first term in both parentheses, then multiplied the first term and the last term, or the outer 2 terms, and then multiplied the 2 inner terms and the 2 last terms. That also is a way to remember it, or you can think of double distribution. Both methods would work. Whichever you prefer, whether it's chart or distribution, I'd like you to use this for the remainder of this lesson. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. All right, have a good day.